Okay, hello everyone. It is March 17th, 12:32 p.m. and let's get into today's video here. So I haven't uploaded in a while, so I have some catching up to do here. So first, let's go over to last week. And I ended the week up, which was good. A bit of under trading at 10. If you can recall my best 2 weeks, so far I was trading around like 15 trades a week. Then I sort of gave some of it back and over traded a bit. That's where the so I think that week I traded over 20 times. So last week, a bit of under trading and really terrible win rate, but my RR was really good. You can see average winning trade 84 versus average losing trade $14, which is phenomenal, right? And that's why I ended the week up, right? Kept the losses controlled, but didn't wasn't hitting enough of these winners. I did hit one here, but anyways, should have done better. I'm just glad I ended the week up. Very good, decent result. And again, this market is getting kind of tougher, right? Because you can see that I think what's happening is it's a lot of the dynamics with the dealers and the options market and the CTAs are getting a bit complex, right? You have elevated puts, so I think the dealers are buying the futures to hedge that. Then you have the CTA medium term triggering and then flip-flopping a bit, and then you have the gamma, whether it's short or long. I think short gamma right now, so it's exacerbating the moves up. It's just not really it's very choppy, and what can happen is psychologically you can come up with a short bias because you're saying, oh my god, look how many billions the CTAs are gonna sell. But it's just not. But I think what's happening is they're getting absorbed, kind of. And another thing is, it's possible we're entering a bear market. So we know that bear market rallies are very challenging because the saying, bears don't make money in bull markets, but you can still make money as a bull in bear markets here, right? We go to the daily time frame. Actually, I think we need to go to something like a 4-hour for this, or a 2-hour, right? You can see, boom, strong rally, $20, climactic selling, they sold everything, exhaustion, boom, up. It's very inducive of the beginning of a bear market, right? Because you have what looks like, if we go to the daily here, and we look at the structure, we still haven't reached the lows of the reaction. But if we go over to maybe a 2-hour or a 3-hour, we can see this is conducive of what looks like the change of character, a bearish change of character. You have lower highs and lower lows, right, within this channel. And right, and it's and it makes sense here because what happens in the rallies is there's enough people to buy to reverse the downward movement, but there isn't enough people to buy at the top, right? So what does that mean here? We go to the 5-minute and we can see a structure started at 10 a.m. Monday, and then this morning it jumped above the creek, but it now has to search for buyers here. So it's retested the range, which isn't really a good sign, because if the liquidity is good, it would have held up here at 72, 71. So there isn't enough buyers, right? That's what happens. It looks like it's gonna, the rallies look like, okay, this is it, it's a new bull market, but no, there's never enough liquidity or buyers at the top, right? So what does at the top mean? It means the back up to the edge of the creek on the lower time frames, right? Because in order for an event to occur on the higher time frame, for example, hourly candles, the lower time frame has to either accumulate or distribute. It has to go from phases A to E, and right now we're in phase D to E right now. So what should happen is what? CTAs have sold. There isn't enough liquidity to accumulate, and it's going to have to distribute again, right? And as soon as the gamma index starts increasing, we go over to the gamma, you can see that's interesting enough, it hasn't increased. So I think that means vol control isn't selling, it's CTAs that are selling. And so the composite operator is absorbing, but they don't have enough liquidity to really change things, right? To really break out of this range and back up to the VPOC. That's just my assumption here. We go back to the daily and we see that, okay. So I think, we're going to have to look for liquidity lower and lower. And I think, systematics are going to sell. CTAs, risk parity is going to sell. Right here we have momentum flipping negative. And what else? A bit of an absorption occurring. Well, I remember this morning the delta was very good, but look, seller imbalance here, and the delta went negative. So it was positive, but then they sold in, and that's why they were able to test it back down here to this buyer imbalance. So this, again, I'm not doing the best job of articulating because the conditions are so difficult. These are very difficult conditions. Because you have to factor in hedge fund gross leverage, net leverage, systematics, the gamma of the options market. It looks like the beginning of a bear market. Well, a bear market's a strong word. It looks like the beginning of a distribution where I think this structure here has found a top and it has to distribute. So what does that mean? Dumps below the reaction, right? For a potentially, I don't think we're gonna go below here, below the April. That would be a bit. In order for that to happen, I think you would have to call the bear market. So I'm not gonna call any of that, but I'm gonna say that this structure distributes, which means another 10 to 15% downside. Worst case 15. Maybe I'll just be conservative and say, actually I think 7 to 10 makes sense. So yeah, how would you, construct that trade right now if you wanted, something not intraday and you said, okay, John's calling for a distribution on this daily. So for example, let's say you have a 5K account and you want to short 1 micro for a $50 drop, right? So you would risk, so what's the R? It's a $50 drop, okay? And you need to get out at a reasonable RR. So according to this, I don't think personally the lower time frame is going to accumulate. So the RR is, if we break above 74, get out. That's what I think. So you're risking about a $3 move higher, and again, this isn't financial advice here, but you're risking about a $3 move higher on for a $50 drop. Okay, and I would give the $50 drop at like, you have to be very patient here. Like, this is not an easy trade. You have to wait a while for that $50 drop. But again, if we think about what's happened earlier, our previous correction, we had a $35 drop between February and mid-March. So I would give it like maximum 2 months, but I think more so a month. No. Yeah, 2 months. 2 months. I think we could hit down here in the next month, and that's kind of and I'd be shocked if it took that long. So again, recapping here, I think you get out if it breaks above 74, and you're shorting. And also, again, you have to come up with a reasonable risk tolerance. 1 micro on a $500 account is a lot. Okay, you will probably blow the account. 1 micro on 5,000 is not that much risk. So again, 1 micro for every dollar the SPY rallies. 1 micro makes about $50. So again, you're risking about 3 times 50. You're risking about 150 to make 20 times 50, which is 20 times 50 times 50, which is 1,000. Okay, so on a 5K account, right, making $1,000, 20% in a month is phenomenal. You're already beating all the hedge funds, all the quants. You'd be beating them. Again, that's if you want to take the risk. So 150, losing about $150, $200 on 5K is about 3%. So again, risk 3% to make 20% is very asymmetric. And it's a very good risk to reward. And so, yeah, I think that's all. I think I can switch over to QQQ now to see my results for this week. I think, because again, that's like the big thing is everyone's watching. The distribution. I think we're going to distribute because. Michael Howe, right? In order to really get these, you have to understand liquidity. So Michael Howe is calling for distribution, or saying liquidity is peaking, and I'm mostly going off of the CTA tape and sort of the VIX, right? I think the VIX dynamics with the gamma are saying. It's if VIX starts spiking, they're gonna have to buy VIX, which will create a feedback loop. And then again, just a lot of my bearish case is about there's a lot of downside convexity, right? Where you have, if this level is breached, they're gonna sell a lot. If this starts spiking, they're gonna sell a lot. If this starts spiking, they're gonna sell a lot. Okay, so and I don't think they're. And in order for that to not happen, the composite operator has to absorb, which I just like. It's happening sometimes. You can see it going here. They absorb there. They absorbed here. But at a certain point, they're tapped out. They need the buying to be at the top of the range, and then maybe the systematics will buy, and that will get things going. So again, I'm more bearish here, and I think let's just leave it at that and go over to my QQQ results. So I think if you recall, I made 700 first 2 weeks, then lost 150, then ended up flat, and so I made back, and then I made back 150. So I'm basically flat, right? I haven't given back that loss. And then let's go to today. Today went very well. First, I sized up to, I'm going to, in regards to the mini stuff, I'm going to just sort of like wait until I get to 1,000. I think it's best to just be conservative because I have to really calculate, because my win rate can collapse. Like, you've seen it. Look at last week. I only won 30% of the time. So I would easily fail the eval. Trading a mini. Right? I could easily fail the eval trading a mini. I could easily make money trading a mini if there's no, lose $600 and you fail the eval. But that's not what this is right now. So I think what just makes sense here is to wait until I get to 1,000, and then maybe try one E-mini or like 5 micros on the NASDAQ, because I'm trying to really just trade QQQ on this one. But again, today, very good, right? 3 trades, all profitable. I kind of went for a lower RR, so I didn't really hit those $1.50 to $2 moves, but and ended up being the right move because you can see that the structure was bearish, right? We're seeing, well, I have it labeled better on SPY, so I'll look at that. But you can see here, climax, reaction, test as minor SOS, bearish change of character, major SW. So it's clearly a downward sloping structure. So I made money going long and then one short. And so the short was the $88 winner. I think if we go over here, what time did I do that? Okay, here. Sell time, 11:04, buy time, 11:09. So where was that? Okay, 11:04. Oh, it was like here. So there I shorted. There, very good trade, right? That's getting the majority of the move, right? The entire move was what? $1.80, roughly, and I got I got like $1 of it. So here, yeah. I don't know. I think realistically, what you should really expect is to get like half of the move, as like as a day trader. The medallion fund, does their, and honestly, I don't really consider scalpers good, because in my mind, it's like if it went up 10 cents and you sold, and then it went up $1. That doesn't sound good to me. But again, it's the trading frequency, which is what equalizes it. So, I could have shorted here, but I was sort of in the, I'm up on the day, let me walk away. So yeah, I think that's all for this video. Good results so far, and you can see why is, understanding. I have enough knowledge to trade, but when the all that secret nervous system crap is withheld from you, then it's like, oh my God, apparently I'm a gambler. It's like a magical gambler. If you don't know the nervous system, you're somehow a magical gambler, which is what happened to Mr. Livermore. So yeah, but again, the stuff I'm doing for the nervous system is, daily walks, right? I'm making sure I'm walking, and then I'm taking, the cringy ass shower in the dark. in pitch dark, and then I'm doing the cold shower for the dopamine. Again, the reason why day trading win rate is the failure rate so high is because of all this secret neuroscience prereqs. So like nervous system, dopamine, nervous system. That's literally what I do. Like I now get paranoid. If my nervous system isn't regulated, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose money today. But yeah, and then the diet wise, and then my diet is so strict now. It's bread, eggs, avocado with turmeric, salt, pepper, olive oil, and then some cumin, and then I do a lot of teas and supplements. Because now I'm taking all these fucking supplements. Now I'm taking again, it's the ashwagandha, the lion's mane, the now I bought that fucking reishi mushroom or whatever. And I'm taking the omega 3s, and I bought one of those fancy or it's not really that fancy, but I bought one of those matchas with a bunch of like the added like mushrooms in it. So it's like it has the lion's mane and then a bunch of other different mushrooms. But yeah, I heard the reishi mushroom helps with the nervous system, so that's why I bought it. And then again, what else are you doing? Can't check your phone in the morning. Drinking water out of the copper cups. It's just try hard city right now. It really is. But again, thanks for watching. I should hopefully be uploading a bit more. But yeah, thanks for watching. This is a long one, so thank you.